Hey, welcome back to DuckmanCycles and VW Garage. I'm your host, the Duckman. We're back today with another exciting adventure of my 1956 Beetle, also known as Eleanor. We're trying to work on these engine tins, we're trying to get them painted up, and quite to my surprise, the very next day, after I went outside to open up the garage and looked inside, the tins all turned green. Now, you might remember that time that I did the floor pans on a Volkswagen Beetle about exactly 1 year ago. I treated them with phosphoric acid overnight, came back the next morning, and discovered the floor pans were green. This piece of tin that you see right here was actually one that I coated with the phosphoric acid that morning. Now, the only reason it got a little green on it, because you remember I whisked the brush over a little bit that night. Now, I don't know what happened here. I mean, it is open for discussion. If any of you at all have some type of an explanation as to why these tins turn green instead of the gray that they usually would be. The same acid was used. The same brush was used. There was no obvious contaminants of any sort. A lot of people suggested that there could have been some copper that got into the mix, but I don't think that's the case. You do notice that there is a gray spot on this tin because that next morning when I came outside, I noticed that there were some spots that I missed, so I quickly dipped in acid and brushed it again. But this was done in the morning. This was done at night. Now, I have my own idea as to what the explanation that might have happened here, but this is open for discussion, so I'm asking you guys, any of you guys out there that are watching, why do you think this might have occurred? And it's also quite a surprise to me that the tin is damn near the color that Eleanor was when she started out. It's damn near diamond green. I mean, I can't believe it. It's like that green gold kind of color. Very unusual. Very unusual. I don't know, maybe she's trying to give me a hint as to what color she wants to be again. Just quite a surprise to me. Anyways, what we're going to do is we're not going to worry too much about the fact that they have an odd color on them, but we are going to treat them just like anything else that I had ever coated with phosphoric acid before. And the next step is to get off all this residue that's on here because your paint won't stick to it. Yeah, anything that's on here that's flaky or fluffy is going to all come off. So what we got to do is we got to wipe them down with a damp rag and maybe even hit them with a wire brush lightly. You want a very fine wire brush. You don't want something too rigid or stiff because you don't want to dig through that iron phosphate coating that's on here. Very important that stays, otherwise the thing's going to corrode once again. So anyways, we're going to jump right back on this here right after the intro, so please like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal. Hit up duckshit.net. You can get all of my social media links to all of my other YouTube channels, Facebook, and the whole works. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back in just a minute. Well, guess what? If you're looking at the tins and you see the wet spots, yep, it's starting to rain. But the good thing is the tins actually will get wiped down with a damp rag right now anyway. So I'm going to move them at a direct path of the rain. I'm going to get the fastback put inside there. And we might be concluding this video a little early depending upon how long that rain lasts. Although the front is coming, I may not get any paint on these things today, yet again. We'll do the best we can. Alright, I spared you the bit of running the wire brush over this stuff. This was a lot more coarse than I wanted to use, but I knew that if I was delicate enough that I wasn't going to completely destroy the coatings that are on this. So you can see I took it down, all them swirly marks are gone. The metal is now nice and smooth. And these are critical steps that you must take, otherwise you will not get your paint to stick to phosphoric acid coating. But the next step in the process is to wipe off the rest of the dust with just a dampened rag. And you see how much that's changed color already. You want to get all that residue off of there, otherwise it's, once again, that paint is just not going to find a surface to stick to. So let's get these suckers wiped down. I wasn't even going to record this, but I figure this video is otherwise going to be really short today if it's going to be raining. I was going to string all these guys up inside of one of my garage tents and get a primer coat on it, but I don't like the fastback being out in the rain because the fastback is a leaker. This is probably going to be a pretty lame video. Unless I manage to drop something and make you guys laugh like I did the last time. It seems that when I have very realistic accidents, my videos are more popular. I used to try to edit that stuff out so I didn't look so damn incompetent, but with it in, I notice I get a lot less hate, and more people are just enjoying me being a real person instead. Plus, I think it's fun. You know, I curse over it or something, and I try to censor some of the swear words out with Mario sounds, and that's gotten me good feedback. Yes, I am foul-mouthed. I will swear. My father was a sailor. While I never was in the military myself, I guess I kind of got it from there. This one's got a dent in it that I didn't see before. There we go. Wow. That was pretty hard to push out. Alright. Again, these are critical steps, because paint, of course, doesn't stick to an object that's covered in powder. Now, when I did those floor pans, I actually didn't wipe this down too much, and the reason why is the floor pans seem like they might have been coated with something, perhaps zinc. They might have been galvanized. So the acid really didn't make a whole lot of a dent in it. It only got to the spots where the zinc was scratched, as those floor pans did have a little rust on them from the factory. Wherever that paint was flaking out, wherever something mechanically scratched it or damaged it or chipped it. I'm not even worried about the greening on this stuff this time around. I'm sure someone's going to want to know, hey, why did you leave them green instead of, you know, trying to hit them with the acid again? And the answer is, it's just because I don't care this time. We're going to see what happens and if it sticks to the green or not, because this greening thing has happened to me more than once. Again, open for discussion. If you haven't already posted a comment as to what you think has caused these things to turn green, I'd like to know. Maybe you'll think of something that I haven't thought of. Now, the instructions for all these commercial-based phosphoric rust removers all said the same thing, at least the ones that I've read, and that's to soak it in the acid and let it sit until it's dry, completely dry, and then to wash off or brush off the residue that remains. You can't just put it on and, you know, walk away and then think you're ready for paint, because it doesn't work that way. Some people have called me out on that, telling me that there is no, you know, cure-all for rust like this, so you have to mechanically remove it completely with a wire brush and well, that is what you're doing. The phosphoric acid is nothing but a coating that you do after that. You have to mechanically remove all of the loose stuff and as much of it as you can, and then the phosphoric acid helps to protect what's remaining. Yeah, look at that. See the difference in the color between the two, from the one that was washed versus the one that still has the phosphoric acid powder on it. Actually, it's not phosphoric acid powder. It's iron phosphate powder. And whatever contaminants are on the surface. Now after this gets done, and I don't think we'll do this today because we're not going to get the paint on here, but you want to wipe this down with some acetone or something to remove any of the residual oils that might be on here, and it probably isn't much for that because I've sandblasted it, but the oil from my hands perhaps could have stuck to the metal, and that may cause paint not to stick properly wherever there might have been a handprint or a thumbprint, you know, right here for example. But that would be the next step before we go ahead and hit it with primer. And this seems like it might be an awful lot of work, but this is what's required to stop it from rusting again. And anything that I've treated this way, not only has the paint stuck very, very well, but it never rusted again, even if it sat out in the weather. So I recommend this method highly, very highly. And of course, down below in the video description, there's links on where to find the phosphoric acid that I used. Ospho is the recommended brand that I got. I don't remember what I'm running with now, but I've used Ospho also. It's the same principle, same concept. The phosphoric acid reacts with the rust, creates iron phosphate, which is non-rusting, and it seals in the metal that's underneath. Here we go. Still can't believe how much of a diamond green that is right there. So much like Eleanor's original color, that's ridiculous. Alright, and the big piece. The breastplate. Yes, sir. And the sad part about all this is that one day, long after I'm gone, someday this will all return back to nature. Long after humans are extinct, long after nobody even remembers who we are, when there's not a single artifact remaining from humanity, whether it be a supernova or whether it be our planet got eaten by the sun because it expanded. Someday long after, well, maybe even, you know, less than 100 years after I'm gone, this thing will be toast and all the work that I put into it won't really matter. Sad, but that's not going to stop me because today is today and now is now, and I'm doing this project for me. Okay, a little hard spot to get into here. There we go. There it is. If it were a sunny day, I would let these suckers sit out in the sun and dry. Unfortunately, I don't have the luxury of having sun do the work for me today because, well, there's no sun. Been a kind of a dreary week again. We had one day of really, really nice sun. One day. And that day I got stuck with a stupid job where I drove 6 hours to go take care of a job. And when I got there, there was nothing wrong. And nobody knows anything about it. And I mean, what they were telling me was wrong was that one of the computer monitors was flickering, and they even numbered it. You know, it was the kitchen computer number 8. You arrive on site, read the notes, and the notes say it's number 9 and number 8, but in 2 separate lines, even though it's saying it's only one of the computers. So is it 8 or is it 9? No problem, let's check both of them. Neither 8 nor 9 are having any problems that are to be experienced. And then it says it's also falling off the wall. So I went and I looked at all the screws and checked out all the computers that are mounted in the kitchen, and not a single one had any screws that were pulling out of the wall. So 5 hours out of my way for nothing, absolutely nothing. Yeah, that rather pissed me off. Needless to say, being that far away from home and having to do all the paperwork and everything else, it totally blew my sunlight for the day, and there was no chance of me working on anything of my own. Boy, was I pissed. I was really pissed for that one. Alright, there we go. Let these sit out and dry. Hopefully they don't get rained on. But I think we're good for now. We'll be back in just a little bit. Alright, we're inside my garage tent here. I strung up all the parts. I figured might as well go ahead and jump on this. We're not going to have any warm weather for probably a week or more because it's about to drop down into the 40s starting as soon as tomorrow. Tomorrow it's going to be pouring rain. Today it's been on and off again. But I decided just not to cop out. Let's go ahead and get in the garage and do something. So I got all the parts hanging up over here. They're a little closer together than what I'd like, but this is not a top coat. This is just a base coat. And we're going to throw in some primer onto these guys. I've already wiped them down with acetone, so that's done. We'll see what it looks like when I'm done. I might have to put a second coat because I almost always miss a spot. But if you notice that they're up high enough, that way I can drive the fastback in here under them if it does start raining. And that's kind of a convenience factor thing, but I've done it before and it works out pretty good. So anyways, let's go ahead and get to spraying. Oh shit. Damn it. Turns out I got the wrong compressor nozzle here on the gun. I'm gonna have to swap that out. I wasn't expecting that. I forgot I changed everything out last year and I haven't used the spray gun since. Alright. We'll be back in just a moment. Alright, this is what I had. This is what I needed. You can see the big difference. Alright, let's screw the sucker on and start painting. Much better. Alright. Test spray here. Make sure my compressor line is not tangled because it's barely long enough to make it in here. Why is it so thin? Forgot to wear my respirator. Woo, that stuff stinks. Man. Put this on before I forget. Woo. All right, here we go. Oh shit, I forgot to put my glasses back on. I don't know at what point I took them off, but woo! Step out of this shed here, get some fresh air. Alright, that's much better. Wow. Whew. Should have worn a glove on that hand. But this primer dries so fast, so fast. By the time I finished painting on one side of an object, I could actually grab the other side of it, it was already dry, and then spray down the back of it. But I think that's going to work out okay. I'm already getting eaten up by mosquitoes out here. I don't believe it. This is not even mosquito season, but yeah, there it is. Well, we've got parts officially in primer. That is fantastic. I'm going to let those hang up a little while I clean up my tools and such. And then once that's done, and we let them dry for, I don't know, probably doesn't need too long. In my experience, I was sanding on these things within 20 or 30 minutes on a hot day. It's not such a hot day, but I added a little more of the thinner to it to dry it a little faster. So for whatever it's worth, maybe that'll help. All right, let's go ahead and get cleaned up, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes. Well, I think these turned out all right. Check them out. Everything's got a nice coat of primer on it, and they should be good. They're going to need some very, very minimal sanding. The breastplate in particular over here, there's still a little bit of rippling where that metal just wasn't flat. And over here, there's some pinholes and just buckshot from rust. It shouldn't be too big of a deal to fix. But anyway, as I was taking all the stuff down and putting it here on my little work table, I discovered I forgot to paint one of them. This piece doesn't actually have a hole in it, so it didn't hang up, and I forgot I put it aside, and I just didn't put it with everything else, so it got separated from the bunch, but I'll paint that one separately later. But it's one of them oops moments, just uh-oh. Anyways, we'll take care of that just the same. Well, all in all, I think it turned out pretty good. It's been a very slow process working on these tins, as you probably know, and I think this is about the 4th video or some shit putting these tins together. But you guys have stuck with me, and my subscribers have finally burst right on past 19,000. You probably saw from the intro in this video. And I actually didn't get to capture that up there on Social Blade. I had to video edit it, a whole bunch of different frames, and make the little rollers and counters. Yeah, nobody will ever appreciate the amount of work that went into that to make the joke funny. So thanks for watching, really do appreciate it. Check out duckshit.net. You'll find everything that I've got, all of my social media links, my shipping address, and if you'd like to email me, DuckmanCycles@duckshit.net. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Really do appreciate it. Really, really do appreciate it. And hopefully we'll be back tomorrow if work doesn't kick my ass yet again. And maybe we'll get a coat of paint on this. That is, of course, if it doesn't rain. I guess we'll see. It didn't rain anymore since earlier, but that's just the way it goes. Thanks for watching. Oh, wait, one more thing. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and pluck that dingle belly. We'll see you later.